Lindsey Roberts.
Bart Shannon.
How are you this fine day?
I always say it, but I really am doing great. Any day that I can be involved with this amazing project with you is a good day.
Same here. Are you ready for this week's episode?
I am so ready. I'm really glad we chose the film that we did, and I'm really glad that we chose the guest that we did for this film.
Same. Well, let's not dilly-dally, and let's get to it.
So, welcome to Die Laughing.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Bart.
How's it going?
It's going really well. I feel like I say that every time, but it's kind of true. I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about. My son and I are happy and healthy, and everything's going really well.
Good. How's his bowling career going?
Oh my God, he's killing it. He's doing really well. His team is doing well. He's hopeful that they'll win regionals and that they'll go to state. And so it'll give him another opportunity, hopefully, to maybe bowl at the individual level. He's a really good bowler. Number 1 in the state in Division II last year.
Fucking A. Do you know his average?
About 220. He's bowled 300s.
Jeez. Oh, man. I'm so ignorant about it. I thought maybe they were like good bowlers, almost like hole-in-ones. Like, yeah.
I've done it once in my life or something, yeah.
Or never, yeah.
Mm-mm.
But
yeah,
several.
Yeah.
Jeez.
This year, in his age range, he finished in the top 200 in the country.
Damn.
Yeah. So he'll get a scholarship. So right now we're talking to bowling coaches and stuff like that.
Fucking A. That's awesome.
I'm really proud of him. He's a good one.
Good. All righty. Well, that is all good to hear. How about the movie this week? Would you like to tell our fine listeners what the movie is?
Absolutely, I would. This week, we watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow by Jim Cummings.
Boom.
Writer-director extraordinaire.
Writer, director, actor, triple threat, they say.
I will say this. He is kind of adorbs.
Yeah, I occasionally develop these man crushes, and yeah, he is definitely one of them. And I think we'll get into his acting style a little bit and why maybe some of us like it, some of us don't, and that probably plays into a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, today is 2020's Wolf of Snow Hollow, and I think we should bring on our guest to chat about this film.
I can't wait.
Our guest today is somebody that we have both worked with professionally on film shoots. Someone who is a very entertaining dude, very funny dude, very creative dude. That's my last dude, by the way. And I first of all, I also want to say that with my apologies for the multiple dudes, I'm going to say Thunder Road probably 30 times in this episode.
That's fine with me. I will say that this dude, I have played his wife. I've played his sister. I think we've played every single relationship someone can play in a film together. And this is one of my favorite people to work with that I've ever worked with. And I've actually known him since I was like 18 years old. So we're going on 30 years of a friendship.
Dang.
And he's my ex-boyfriend from college. And he lives like 3 doors down from me. So we've got a long relationship. And he makes fun of me while I'm walking around the neighborhood.
Let's bring him on. Die Laughing listeners, please welcome Drew Smith. Hey, Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, Bart. Hey, Lindsay. Good to see you. Not looking like a 1950s housewife as you walk our neighborhood blocks. Like,
What a
you're
mess.
not in your full maid attire. That's great. You got some serious dusting to do somewhere? Like, you're on the way.
I'm on the way. I'm on the way. I've got my routine, Drew. We cook dinner. We clean the dishes. We walk. We've got our plan. I'm old now.
Who is we? Like, are you referring like
The
just
royal.
the royal we? Okay, I got you.
Is she like Amy Sedaris?
She looks like Jerry Blank, like not like Amy Sedaris. Straight up Jerry Blank walking around my neighborhood.
Bart knows that's actually the best compliment you could have ever given me in my life.
I just want to start off by saying I had to cram this movie in bits and pieces throughout family activities. Finished watching it this morning, and I kind of am irritated by both of you asking me / making me watch this movie.
You know, I'm glad we watched this movie.
I am too.
I am. And I'm glad that it's the 3 of us that are talking about it, because I feel like we will challenge each other, but we will have a lot of things that we agree on, because Drew is an actor and a writer and a filmmaker. He does it all, as does Bart. And all I do is just act. I'm just a lowly actor. So I'm interested and excited to hear what you guys have to say about the script and how it was shot and all that.
I threw this one in there as an option because I didn't think it was a film that like other horror podcasts would cover.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue if it's a horror film. I mean, you go to Wikipedia, it says it's a horror film, but IMDb calls it a thriller comedy, I think is what it is. So it's
a dark comedy is the first thing that IMDb lists.
Yeah, but when you're looking at The Wolf of Snow Hollow and with certain scenes that happen in, and we'll break into this, but I wanted to tackle this one for several reasons. And I'm glad we did, Drew. It's like, I don't want all of these films to be beloved.
Right.
As we all know from shitty movies. Not saying this one's shitty, but it's more fun to talk about shitty movies sometimes than it is to talk about great movies.
There's as much to talk about.
Yeah. Before we get started, let's watch the trailer and kind of get a sense of Jim Cummings' Wolf of Snow Hollow.
We have every reason to believe that this monster will show up again tonight.
I'm John, I'm an alcoholic. I've been in the program now for 6 years, sober for 3.
This is scary. It's new. I never saw a body like that.
There's gonna be a lot of late nights and overtime because of the brutal murder that happened in town, and I didn't want to set up expectations that I can't keep.
Our expectations of you are very low.
Spans of the bites are gigantic, same as the distance of the paw prints.
It's a wolf, or maybe it's a werewolf.
No, let me just make this perfectly clear. There is no such thing as werewolves. Our killer is a guy, and I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna kill, and we're gonna bring him to justice.
We have every reason to believe that this monster will show up again tonight. I won't ask you to pray with me because of the goddamn lawyers.
Where were you? Where were you? John! None of you talked to me once, okay? They're saying it's a wolf. No, it's a man. When do I get to be right about something? Do your job! Do your job! I am begging you!
You want to be sheriff? How about we start acting like one?
Cool trailer.
Well, I can hardly wait.
It is actually a good trailer.
Did you pick up that it was comedic from the trailer?
I knew it was a comedy from the trailer just because I saw his previous film and I kind of knew what his movies were like.
There are some funny lines in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
What we can talk about is whether or not you guys really paid attention to the poster for the film. I mean, it literally looks like a wolf that just sneezed out Jim Cummings. And he's like coming out of his nose.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
What do you think about this poster, Jim? I need to be more prominent in that poster.
Is there any way I can be the main focus of this? Imagine a pornography poster of something ejaculating me out, but put it coming out of the wolf's snout.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you.
The graphic designer's like, oh, that's a terrible idea of it.
Let's do it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Money's money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to unpack here. Let's just jump right in and we can critique Jim Cummings throughout the way.
And maybe just to give like a little bit of an overview, right? I know we watched the trailer, but what it says that it's about is a series of brutal murders rocks a quiet ski town in Utah with victims found torn apart under full moons. Local officer John Marshall, a volatile, recovering alcoholic struggling with anger issues, fatherhood, and his ailing sheriff father, spirals as he hunts what may be a werewolf or something far more human.
Far more human.
Really unnecessary addition. It could just be, it may be a werewolf. You don't have to put the other part.
A 50% improvement of a werewolf human-wise is a human. Not far more. It's just 50% more.
Let's say you're just a junior werewolf. You haven't fully transformed. You're in the
mail
first
room.
Week. Yeah. You're working your way up to full werewolf status. Are you far more human? I don't know.
I don't
You might
know.
be 8% more human, not far more. I'll go ahead and say it. I know you don't like to say if it's a bad movie or not, but I would have much rather watched Teen Wolf.
I think I'm going to be alone on a hill on this one, defending Jim Cummings, but we'll get to that. So the movie opens with this young couple that has rented a cabin in this snowy small town of Snow Hollow, Utah. They're taking a 2-day break from their lives in Los Angeles, and right away, I did like this, where they get settled in and they're at the restaurant in the town, and of course, everyone's drinking beer and they're drinking
Their red wine.
Right away, there are two townies that are being loud, and one of them drops the F word, and the male from Los Angeles, the tourist, takes offense to it, tells them to be quiet. And there's a bit of an altercation between the two townies and the dude from LA.
Let me just say, like, Jimmy Tatro played him, and I have only seen him in American Vandal, which that's the character that Jimmy Tatro's accent lends him to. Yo, what's up, my guy? Like, how you doing? Like, it's good to see y'all up in here. So, like, the fact that he was offended by that word totally took me out of the element, because it's one of those like, oh, Jimmy Tatro is probably throwing that around. That's the character he was meant to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Him being cast as like the socialite guy. The best part of this movie was when I realized that Jimmy Tatro was not the lead.
I have not seen him in that. I've seen him in something else. I can't think of what it was, but I don't see him as a bastion for liberal thought. He's definitely someone who looks like he did some wrestling in high school. Got a bit of a strong forehead. Not the character I was expecting. He's definitely a bro.
He definitely knows every word to Eminem's first album.
He definitely does.
We get back to the cabin of the couple, the LA couple, and we see that he is planning on proposing on the trip. We see his ring. They're on the hot tub outside, and she tells him to go take a shower, which is, I thought was a little bit of a switch. It's like, you go inside and take a shower. I'll shut everything down out here in the snow and the spooky night.
Right. Why are we making her do that? There were some weird things in here. There's already some weird cuts that I'm trying to figure out what's going on. When they're at the bar and she's standing outside waiting for him, I think there's a shot of the boyfriend looking underneath the car to make sure that maybe the guys aren't there or something. Like they'd be hiding underneath the car. Like, why do we need that shot?
I thought he was checking the brake line or something. It seemed extreme. And plus, for the LA socialite that he's playing, that PJ is, it was kind of a shot that it's like, oh, he's got the knowledge that he can look under there and make sure there's no bomb planted by these townies, because he said don't use the F word.
It's an unnecessary thing, I think. We could have moved on and cut back to the cabin.
Well, I think they put it in there because they were still wanting us to think it was the townies that do what's about to happen, even though I don't think any of us for a second thought it was either one of them.
No.
It should have been gone in the edit, even if it was shot and got to the edit. It should have been gone in the edit.
And there is something to be said for they're looking through the Airbnb that they're staying at. They can't find any knives. They can't find, a wine opener. But then he's trying to open up the bottle of wine and he grabs a chopstick and rears up his hand to open the wine, and I almost lost it. I was like, he is going to be in the emergency room in 5 seconds.
Because if there's one thing Lindsey knows, it's how to open a bottle of wine.
Correct. Pro. I am a pro.
Now, I have done that exact same thing with a chopstick, but with a saucer, because there's no fucking way you're going to hammer your hand down.
That's what I'm saying. Just use something. There was nothing between his hand and the top of that chopstick. I was like, there's no way he's bearing down on that and making it out. I don't know what we were trying there, because the music was kind of swelling up. I was like, what are we doing? And then he was just like, damn it, because the wine went everywhere. And then can we talk about when they were in the hot tub? I was like, there's no way these people are a couple. Not a chance. They're on either side of the hot tub. They are not saying a single thing to each other. She comes over and is like, you need to take a shower. And they kind of kiss, and he doesn't touch her once. I was like, these people aren't a couple. They're not about to get, maybe he's nervous because he wants to propose or something, but it was a really weird scene that did not show their closeness in any way, shape, or form. It was really odd.
He does not seem like the nervous type.
No. It was a really weird scene. I was like, these people aren't a couple.
Or maybe they've been a couple too long.
Maybe you're right. They have been together too long, and he just needs her insurance.
He's constantly injuring himself on opening wine bottles. Like, it's going to cause some issues.
So yeah, while he's in the shower taking a shower, which again, we fully expect it to be her in the shower, him outside, but that wouldn't lead to the next scene. So while he's in the shower, the hot water goes out, which there are some cool little edits in here I did like. So he's shocked by the cold water just as we intercut to her being stalked by something outside. And this was the first time this was established, and they used this throughout the film. Obviously a conscious effort. I don't know if this was a going in idea or if this was during the edit idea. But every time there is a horror type scene, they intercut it with like the next day or something, some other action. So you never get to be scared.
Right.
It's more about tension, ramping tension, than it is about fear.
This confused me.
It did me too. It took me a minute to get used to it.
It didn't confuse me as much during this sequence, but the next one, when they're cutting back and forth to the cafe, we can get to that. It confused me more then. I was like, I don't understand. Is it day or night? I don't understand what's going on. When did this happen? When is this happening?
Before we get there, hang on. Let's finish out the kill first. He gets out of the shower and he's looking for her, and he walks outside, slips on the front porch, and lands perfect position to see his fiance mutilated on the ground. Now, there was a really cool, silly shot of the full moon reflecting in this pool of blood in the shape of an animal's paw.
They spent half the budget on that shot.
On that shot. Just on that shot.
And the other half was the wolf costume.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I like the wolf costume.
It looked good.
Yeah. And they did a good job of not just being like, let's just put the camera on the victim and it be this really long shot. They kind of do a good job of just showing a little bit of it and then cutting away. So you're like, wait, what did I just see? Ugh.
Something Deadstream could have learned.
Yeah.
If you don't have the budget for a lot of great effects, don't show it a lot. The very next scene, we are at an AA meeting and we meet our protagonist, John, which is Jim Cummings, the writer, director, lead. He's speaking to the group. He gets distracted by something and they said, what's going on? And he says, I don't hear anybody above us. You know, like most AA meetings are in a church basement or a police station basement, or at least that's the old stereotype.
Yeah, except for the fact that the reason he was losing focus is because you hear it.
You hear everything above them.
And then all of a sudden, it kind of goes quiet.
The only reason it goes quiet is because he says, I don't hear anybody upstairs. And then it cuts to that, like it gives you that beat of silence. And it's like, he already heard that there was nobody upstairs.
To me, the line was, there's a lot of running going on up there. I'm hearing a lot.
Yeah, that would have been more of a red flag. It was a strange choice.
Yeah.
This also reflects an issue with the entire movie. There's no silence in the movie. Like there's always someone talking. You're always inundated with sound. And so the fact that the background noise that you hear at the beginning of the AA meeting, you don't really pay attention to. And then it's there until he says it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they could have played with the sound design a little bit more to help that scene sell.
Yeah.
Just like in Thunder Road, it's almost creating an anxiety attack with constant dialogue, constant ramping tension, no silence. And the score even did not help a lot. I thought the score was hokey at times. And sometimes I thought the score's intention in a scene was, we're going to play it this way so you know it's lighter than what's happening on screen.
Where you're like, I don't need to be pandered to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At the crime scene, we meet the local cops, which our main character, John, is one. Then we meet for the first time the sheriff, played by Robert Forster.
Thank God for Robert Forster.
Thank God for Robert Forster. This was his last film. And I know you both are thinking, what a piece of shit for him to go out on. But what a great role for him to go out on, about an aging sheriff who doesn't want to let go and trying to milk out his last few months on the job before retirement. I thought it was a very fitting last role for Robert Forster.
I thought so too, because everyone's so grateful that he's in it. I mean, he added so much heart and kind of gravitas. You could feel the weight of his presence in every scene.
Yeah, the scenes with him really worked because of him, even despite the chaotic energy that was surrounding those scenes.
Yeah, the movie showcased him.
We've all worked in those nepotistic environments where the boss's son or wife or whoever has a job and you're not really sure why they have a job. Like the fact that the other officers were just constantly making fun of this guy's son in front of all of them. I don't know, man. He brought a nice dad energy to the whole place to kind of squash all that other noise.
A sweetness to it as well. He just came across as very kind, very confused, very scared about how things have changed. I love the line where he's kind of freaking out later, and he looks at his computer and is like, oh, there's 13 emails. It's like, I can't handle this right now.
He says, oh my God, I already have 11 emails about this case. This is worse than my birthday. That was a good line.
That was a good line.
Robert Forster did not make it to the premiere of the film.
He didn't.
He died before it was finished. Also on the scene, we meet Detective Julia Robson, played by Ricky Lindholm. Ricky Lindholm is from Garfunkel and Oates. And she was also in Knives Out, but she's also the wife of Fred Armisen.
Huh.
What?
That's how she's known in the Armisen household.
You stop it right now. I didn't know that.
I recognized her from another period.
Oh, another period, yeah.
A severely underrated series.
Funny show. So yeah, right away we see that Robert Forster's character, he's overwhelmed, and John is very protective of him, but then we find out that the sheriff is his father, and they're trying to hide his state during his last days before he's forced to retire. It's during this scene that the Jim Cummings tone kind of gets established early. A lot of stress, a lot of dialogue, a lot of Jim Cummings going from group to group, arguing with this group, going to another group. So I think for someone who doesn't like his stuff, this is where it's like, oh, this is a Jim Cummings movie. But for the people that do like it, like, oh, this is Jim Cummings movie. Okay, here come. We're going to start ramping up the tension and all of that stuff.
It's just kind of exhausting.
It is, but so is a softy film.
I wasn't annoyed by now. I just was like, man, this guy's not in the right business.
Yeah, which I think is what makes it work. He's way in over his head in a different way than his dad is.
I thought you were talking about Jim Cummings not being in the right business.
Oh.
Because from the start of the movie to now, there hasn't been, besides the one shot of the moon in the paw print, there hasn't been a scene without dialogue or a shot without dialogue. Everything else is just so smashed in there. It feels like that he ought to be a auctioneer.
Makes sense.
I did like the line where Robert Forster asks if any sign of sexual assault, and the cop on the scene has to tell him that those parts are missing.
I was like, ooh, yeah.
And right after that, we see Detective Robson go speak to the locals, the two townies that had an altercation with the couple at the beginning.
Hold up, before you move on, let's not ignore the fact that that's the sheriff. And the guy that's the medical tech or whatever, he's like, hey, what's up with the missing parts? Or what do you mean the parts are missing? And he's like, please talk to the other deputy about this. Like, that's the sheriff. Doesn't he work for the sheriff?
I know. I think that was one of the cops, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Chavez.
Yeah, that's one of the cops.
Right.
That's looking at the body that talks to the sheriff like that, which makes it even maybe worse. But I think it does speak to the fact that they're in a small town and they've just been working together forever. And this is unlike anything they've ever seen. And so there's not like really a protocol for dealing with it.
I took it as all the other cops know that the sheriff is at that point where he's not useful anymore. And even though that John tries to cover for him, they all see it. So it's sort of like, hey, old man, just go talk to somebody else. Let me do my job, you figurehead. That's kind of how I saw it.
See, I just thought it was extremely disrespectful, and I would never
disrespect authority.
So since Detective Robson is interviewing the townies, all the rest of the cops, minus her, are meeting at the local diner to discuss the case. And we see that it's a top-notch group of cops, just in how they speak, and just an inept group, which also makes sense that Jim Cummings is trying to become the sheriff of this terrible, terrible group of cops that can't even say the word vagina.
They're at the cafe on the little piece of paper trying to piece together the case. Not like a formal police setting. They're like, here's our little square drawing on this napkin with this pencil of what we think the crime scene was like. I was like, man, this is a small town.
The scene did a good job of showing the inside baseball of what a small town cop force would do in this situation. So I did appreciate parts of this scene. It got super volatile super quickly, though. It went from being like a, hey, we're all in this together, to they were at each other's throats a little bit quickly.
But yeah, and then he was like, everything goes through me, understood? And they're like, no, we need to call the feds.
That was the most sensible character in the scene, was like, what are you talking about? We need to turn this over. There's got to be somebody that comes in and fixes this. And then the response of like, we are the ones that are supposed to fix this.
But I think we're also just learning that Jim Cummings' character is just an asshole.
Yeah, a total asshole.
Yeah.
So right after the scene, we meet this snowboard instructor who is teaching a group of students on the slopes. And then we see her at lunch with her students. And there's a scene where she sees someone, I can't remember if she looks directly in camera or just right off camera, but she's made uncomfortable by someone and then tries to get her focus back and to going back to talk to her students.
Mm-hmm.
A very jarring scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't know what she's focusing on. It's something that's clearly like pacing, and there's someone, I feel like a body moves across frame. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
But in the scene before that, they're standing on the side of a mountain, and she's talking to the group of snowboarders about how they're supposed to snowboard. Remember that? They do the same kind of deal in that. She's looking off camera at all these snowboarders that are there that are obviously not there. Like, it's hard as an actor not to have someone to focus eyeline on. Give her someone to look at or put someone dirty in frame so that it establishes, oh, she's not just alone talking on the side of a mountain in this. And then you go to the scene in the restaurant, and she's doing the same thing at lunch. Like, she's talking to these off-camera characters, and then suddenly has a stroke and sees like nobody there or whatever she's looking at. Did Bell's palsy hit? Who knows?
Well, and it's just music. There's no dialogue. It's just music, but in the background. And it's so she's hand motioning and she's talking to these kids, right? And all of a sudden she looks up and is creeped out.
It's the first scene in the movie where they don't directly explain what's going on to you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Every other scene, there's dialogue leading into it. There's moments that the dialogue gives you help on that. And then in this, no help whatsoever.
So it's confusing. And then she goes into her friend's room and says, I'm going to see Josh, whoever her boyfriend is. And she's like, do you think that's a good idea? And she's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to see the one person in this town that actually, is attracted to me. And so my brain immediately went to, she's going to see Josh, and whoever Josh is was just passing in front of her. But that's an incorrect assumption.
Yeah, it wasn't a red herring. It was just, what? It was just a muddle.
It was too early.
It was too early.
If that scene had happened after we meet the young mother and her daughter in the diner, we would have known exactly what's happening.
Right. What she saw. Yeah.
The dialogue with the tall guy needed to happen now, right before they sat down to lunch, right? So she had this weird dialogue with this weird guy, and then all of a sudden she's with her students talking, and this same guy is pacing. Then you're like, oh, there's some weird guy. But that just wasn't established at all.
I was confused about what she was looking at until the very end of the movie that's when, that's what that was. But as the next scenes are going on, I'm like, the fuck was she looking at? And it was so awkward too. And look, about the not having actors, this is a low budget movie. We've all been there where there's just nobody there. But yes, you could have had a crew member have his shoulder dirtying the frame. And I'm talking about on the slopes.
Right.
Yep.
It didn't bother me so much at the table, except had someone walked through frame.
Right.
Then we would have known, she was spooked out by that person for some reason other than it, like she just looked at camera. Like Lindsey said, the ski instructor is about to meet her ex-boyfriend. So the next scene, she's outside at her van and obviously being stalked by something. And this is that, like I said earlier, that reinforcement where we're not going for scares here. We're going to just make it a thriller and build tension, because we cut back and forth between this scene of her being stalked and eventually killed by this giant wolf type creature to the next day where it's Jim Cummings' character and his very two-dimensional ex-wife, and we meet his daughter, Jenna, for the first time. It's so stereotypical dialogue here where it's just the ex-wife saying, you're not there enough, you don't do it, or you're going to even do this, you're going to do that. But there's a line I love where he says, I had a nicer time at Abu Ghraib.
Yes, that was a funny line because it was kind of thrown away.
It's his response to the entire situation that he's in a diner where he is the sheriff in the town. And he is this out of control already. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, you're going to keep up appearances for a moment. Like, especially because Judy, who runs the diners here, and there's a Stan, the mortician down the street, and here's the guy who runs the pharmacy. Like, you're going to keep up the appearance that, like, you have it all together. And it just felt like that it went from 0 to 60 immediately, and he's shouting in the bar. Like, it was a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's maybe something that they shouldn't have done in a public place. She's 17 years old. She's about to start college. They're probably kind of done arguing at this point.
You know, and that's something he's obviously doesn't have an ex-wife.
Yeah.
Because someone who has been in that situation, that is when the arguments end. I don't have to fucking talk to you anymore.
We don't have to fight anymore about this. We don't have to meet at a diner to have this conversation. She's going to college. She's going to live with me until she goes to college and whatever.
What do you feel like that age breakoff would have been if she would have been 14?
Even 16. Because they're in high school, you have to argue about the high school experience with your ex. But yeah, once college is decided, and this is December, so she's going to college in 5 months.
Uh-huh.
But she did look incredibly young for 17.
Mm-hmm.
When they were at the makeout scene, I was like, oh, she looks like she's 13.
Yeah.
Now it's going to make it weird that I say this right after you say she looks 13. She had her pants off going to town. Like, she was the aggressor in that makeout scene where it was just one of those, like, slow down. The poor bastard that was having to make out with her was like, hey, maybe you should put your pants on. Like, he's trying to get out of it because he feels like, he's like, I'm going to get busted for it. Like, it's Chris Hansen around the corner because, like, it was obviously... He felt uncomfortable with how aggressive she was.
Yeah.
Who takes their pants off in the front seat of a car, like in the middle of winter?
You got to want it. So then the cop runs in, right, and is like, John, you know. So now we know something's happened, right? And that what happens next?
Yeah, right after that, we cut immediately to the crime scene of the snowboard instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And John is the one person who's convinced that it's still a man. Everyone else is leaning towards it's a wolf attack. Well, except Detective Robson, Julia, she also believes it's a man. But everyone else thinks it's a wolf or a wolf man. And this is that classic Jim Cummings ramp-up tension scene where he's just arguing with everybody, running back and forth, gets in an altercation with that cop Bo, and they go to the ground together.
Yeah, they actually like fight. Yeah.
Yeah. But he does say as a line that, I think it's in the trailer, and I think it's funny where they're arguing back and forth about whether it's a wolf or a man. He goes, it's a man. He goes, when do I get to be right about something?
Yeah. That was good.
Which is foreshadowing, as we find out much later.
They had a nice beat also of like doing the pan over to the news van to unveil that, like, oh, this is why. Again, there are some good moments in this that he has where it's like, oh, let the scene do the work instead of you having to do the dialogue on top of it.
I liked this scene just because it's so farcical. Then we see that he's starting to crack. After this, he falls off the wagon. We see that the town is scared and angry because the cops haven't solved it yet. And at the next meeting at the police station with the cops, he fires Bo, that the character he got in the altercation with at the meeting. And at that same meeting, he insists that another line of foreshadowing when he's insisting that it's a man, when everyone is still arguing it's a wolf. He says, I'm going to find the guy, kill him, bring him to justice. He pauses right after he says, kill him. Bring him to justice. So obviously by him saying, when do I get to be right? And I need to kill this guy. He needs to prove himself to a lot of people, if not to himself. We've established that.
Thankfully, I'm not an alcoholic, but the fact that it was 2 beers above the kitchen stove, I thought, oh, buddy, that's going to taste terrible. That's not a good choice.
I've known beer alcoholics that only drink beer. I still can't wrap my brain around it. They don't drink liquor. They only drink beer, and they drink 30, 40, 50 beers, and then they wake up the next morning and they crack a beer and they start again.
He does drink alcohol. It feels like if someone's falling off the wagon, they're going full blast.
Yes, the Listerine.
The Listerine deal. It's like, are there no liquor stores in town? Like, what's going on?
I thought it was a total bad writing moment. Because that's how hard up is this guy? He's so hard up. He'll drink his own mouthwash. Now, it happens, but your daughter's doesn't look like you really pay that much attention to your daughter in the home, so you can have all the liquor you want. Nobody's going to give a shit. You don't live with anybody else. He's went to the store to buy beer, obviously, so why didn't you just buy something else? But yeah, at that meeting, the sheriff smells booze on him, so he even knows. The very next scene, we're at John's house and he speaks to his daughter in her room, which is another really funny line about it. And he says, do you still have that pepper spray that I got you for communion?
Yeah.
She said, what? Am I in danger? And he says, no, just, about the way you dress. And she goes, how do I dress? And he goes, perfectly reasonably.
The script does have a lot of great setup lines like that he delivers, that where he says something and then immediately goes to it shouldn't matter. There's another line about, why is it always women? I did enjoy those lines throughout the movie.
It was hard for me to see him as her dad. So because of that, some of these lines felt gross to me. Like, I don't want to hear him making comments about how his daughter dresses because, frankly, I don't think he sees her enough maybe to know. And B, then he said something like, I've seen the way men look at you and women. And I'm like, that's gross. That's gross. I didn't like it.
As a dad of a daughter, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, like I say, I guess for me, it's just I never believed the relationship. And so it kind of constantly stayed in this actor to actor kind of mode.
Let's do the math.
I did the math. In 2020, he was either 33 or 34 years old. He was born in 1986. So if she's 17, he had to have her when he was like 16 or 17 years old.
He says he's 39 in the movie, but he does not look 39.
No, he looks 10 years younger than that. Yes, it's technically possible for you to have a child, but you don't look that age.
I'm with Bart. What he was saying didn't bother me as much, but I was able to write off the fact that he was her dad. I did think that the daughter was one of the stronger actors in the movie.
Yeah, I thought so too. So right after the scene, we follow John and Julia, and they visit the fiance of the first victim and just asked if he remembers anything new. It's really just a setup scene for something later. I remember watching the scene like going, why did we have that scene? Because it just didn't give you anything other than we see he's distraught and his mother's there and he's packing up and he's moving because his fiance is dead. But it's just a total setup scene for later.
It felt like that scene was in there because the actor had to have more scenes in the movie to justify him being in it.
But they gave him some really weird action at the end.
Wrapping up the damn lamp?
Yes. What? Why? Did you notice that, Drew?
I didn't notice that at all. I thought it ended with him going to cry.
No. You remember Robson says, I'm going to leave my card right here, and sets it down and walks past Jim Cummings to leave and kind of nudges him to come out. So Jim is kind of standing there looking at the actor and turns to go. And then the boyfriend picks up a lamp and starts wrapping the cord around the bottom of the lamp and is like, you're going to catch this guy. And when you catch him, kill him.
I stared at that fucking lamp the entire time he was talking. Like, what's the lamp about to do? What are you about to do with the lamp?
Are you going to throw the lamp? Why's the lamp?
I thought he was going to slam it down or something, but yeah, it's so distracting.
Very distracting. Weird.
That could have been that actor like, what am I supposed to do with my hands? It's like, in a scene like this, I need something. Give me something.
It was either a stupid thing that Jim told him to do, or he was like, I've got a really good idea. Let's see if it makes it. What if I pick up this lamp and wrap the cord around the bottom of it?
Like every dipshit actor.
It definitely was too.
He's like, I feel like this is really strong.
Hey, what if I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to do something with this lamp? And Jim Cummings is like, sure.
We're moving. It makes sense. We got boxes everywhere.
I mean, you hadn't even shown me packing up anything. Like, how the audience going to know? And he's like, that's a good point. That's a good point. I'm a lamp salesman. That's what I do.
Yeah, he was upset that it got cut from the script. He's like, what about the scene of the lamp store? It's like, we couldn't do it. It's like, you got to give me a lamp scene here.
You got to give me a lamp.
You're robbing the audience.
My brother and I own this lamp store together. You cut that whole scene out? How are they going to know that I care about my brother and lamps?
Okay. The next scene, we see a woman and her daughter having lunch at the diner. And we only see the guy's torso, but a guy walks in and says, can I sit here? And she says, yeah, sure. He sits down at the table, starts being intrusive into her lunch, but then his questions get a little too probing. He asks where she lives, but then he says, do you still have that blue car? And it kind of creeps her out, so she makes an excuse to go to the counter.
Leaving her child behind with a fucking weirdo.
Leaving her child behind.
With an 8-foot-tall weirdo in a hoodie.
Yeah. Well, can you watch my daughter for me?
You want? You can take her outside and take for a ride. He said y'all.
You know what kind of blue car I had. He said y'all.
That was the most ridiculous line of the entire movie, though, for me, was when she goes, he said y'all.
I knew he was local because he said y'all.
Or anywhere in middle America or
46 states.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so she leaves her daughter at the table and then goes up to speak to someone and says, I think I need to talk to the police. Right.
Yep.
And then we cut to her interrogation. Is that where we go next?
So she is so creeped out by the guy that they interview the entire goddamn town. They really think this may be the guy.
Do we think it's a weird jump? I mean, I know he's super creepy.
Yeah, it was a totally weird jump. And it was weird that they just assumed we should know that that's why they're interrogating the whole town, because she got a creepy vibe from a really tall guy.
Yeah, and then it started this weird interrogation edit.
Again, it's in the edit, because if they took the scene where the detective confronts the guy that's hanging up the "see something, say something" placards, he's putting the sign up that says "catch the wolf killer" or whatever it's called. If you see something, say something. If that's before this scene where there's a call to action for the town to say if they see anything out of the ordinary, then it makes sense. But because that scene's afterwards, you're like, that's extreme.
Well, first, during this interrogation scene, we find out that the sheriff has a heart murmur. And that's where the scene where he's like freaks out about the emails. And Jim Cummings is really struggling with shepherding his dad through these final days. There's something wrong with his health. He shouldn't be in this job. And so it just kind of adds a little more tension to it.
This is another one of those moments where I felt like, Jim, you don't need to be yelling at your father. This isn't about you. Everything is about him. Oh my God, that conversation with his daughter, I was so fucking mad at him for that. I was like, you're a fucking asshole. I wanted to strangle him. This was another one of those things where I was just like, don't yell at your fucking dad, okay? He's dying and it's not about you, and just be there for him. But he didn't know how to do that.
Well, later when his dad obviously is not well, he doesn't say you're done. He says, I'm done.
Yeah.
He says, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So it's not you're done. You can't do this anymore. So yeah, that at least is intentional, that he is a self-centered person who makes everything about himself.
Right. But the issue is then you don't like the protagonist.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
It is.
I would like to see him in a film that he does not write, that he does not direct, because he does have moments like when they're all gathering together, they're getting ready to go out, they're going to try to find this guy, and his dad falls down. He can't. He's got to go to the hospital, right? He has that moment where he comes out and he talks to the dispatcher and he can barely form a sentence. He's distraught. He can barely form a sentence. That was his best scene, I thought. He played that really well. It was genuine.
If he's not wearing so many hats, then he can focus on one of them. And right now he's doing a decent job at all of these roles of being the director or being the writer or being the producer or being the lead. And if he could step back and just focus on one of those, he might do really well.
I like him. I think he has, and again, he's adorbs.
He's a good looking dude.
Well, I think it's happening because he had a co-writer on the beta test, which was the film after Wolf of Snow Hollow. So I think the realization of Too Many Hats is happening.
Good.
I think it may have even been a co-director, but he had a co-writer as well. So the young mother and her daughter that had started this whole investigation of the town are driving home one night. She stops because there's a dead deer in the middle of the road. She gets out like any of us do we all have to check on the dead deer and leave our child in the car. So she gets out, goes to the deer with a pistol, and sees a bloody handprint on the deer. And just immediately after, a wolf rises up behind her car, huge, tall, mammoth beast. And just like we did previously, we cut back and forth between this scene and her funeral and another scene of Jim Cummings cracking. So we go back and forth to her murder and the funeral where people are yelling at him, why aren't you doing more? But I did think it was creepy while we're cutting back and forth, the camera tilts up and we see the child's coffin on the other side of her mother's coffin. It's like, oh, you killed the kid. Oh, wow. I wouldn't expect you to kill the kid.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So we have 4 victims so far.
Yeah, there were just these weird choices that these women were making that put them in vulnerable positions, especially given that you have several murders and given the fact that you just had this creepy fucking meeting with this dude in this diner and you're going to get out of your car? Not a chance.
Yeah, where's your mace?
Didn't you get some from Jim for communion?
She fires 6 shots and misses with all 6. That's a common theme with this werewolf. No one can hit it. The next scene, John wakes his daughter Jenna up on the couch and walks her up the stairs to her bedroom, which is we get a callback of that scene or a companion of that scene later. But right after this, John gets drunk, drinks his own mouthwash. Again, the scene we talked about earlier. And has a really great pass out scene where he's standing in the kitchen and passes out onto the oven door and it just shatters. It explodes as he hits the floor and all of this broken glass.
It's crazy. It was intense.
Well, it looked great.
It did look good.
So where we're going to pick it up is, it was a little confusing for me. It was the all of a sudden full moon manhunt.
Yeah.
The cops have all rallied at the station to do this full moon stakeout, and they're really just super motivated all of a sudden to catch this killer together as one. Am I imagining a hard jump, or am I correct in it sort of just happened after the death of the mother and the daughter?
Yeah, it appears to just happen. Either they're just totally over everybody in the town, giving them such shit for not catching this person after the rounds and rounds of interrogations with the local prostitutes and all of the usual suspects. Maybe it's just that we're now fed up with not knowing who this killer is because the townspeople are mad at us.
I mean, to be honest, nothing wakes you up like a dead kid and the father saying, "You should have been finding him," over and over again during the funeral. Like it's like that's a wake-up call right there.
Yeah, I think they're trying to play up this in between the death scenes and whatever next day scene they're showing. There's a lot of like funeral scenes, right? Of him being at the funeral of these people who are dying and seeing their families and seeing, and of course at Hannah's funeral, now we are seeing when the father's yelling at him, he sees in like the background the ghosts, right? Or just his imagination. He sees Hannah holding her daughter. He sees, you know what I mean? So it's like these people are sort of like haunting him in a way.
I missed that completely, apparently. Like in my Tubi version of this movie, that scene was not there.
Yeah.
They must have thought it was too brave.
Yeah, he's thinking back through, and all of the victims are in that back doorway when the guy's yelling, "You should have been there." They're all in the background one at a time, all the victims kind of looking at him.
God, I got to pull this back up.
I do think we needed at least one scene in between, right, where the sheriff says something, inspiring to his son about, we got to find this guy, we've got to do it, and you've got one more chance or else I'm calling the feds. I've got one more call in me. You know what I mean? Or just something that is the impetus for this.
Now, there's a telltale sign of not having time or money in this shot because they're all facing camera, really tightly grouped, so we can see everyone in the frame and get it all done in one shot. But Robert Forster has a great line here.
He does.
He says, "No, I want to ask you to pray with me because of the damn lawyers." So instead he asks for a moment of silence, and during the moment of silence, John notices him grimacing and needing to hold himself in the desk. So he's entered a new phase in his health in a short amount of time.
Yeah, that was a good line. And it's in the trailer, too. That line's in the trailer.
Yeah. So he tells his father, like we talked about earlier, he tells his father, "I'm done," meaning you're done.
I'm done.
I can't take this anymore, meaning you can't do this anymore. And so he says, you're officially retired. And so his dad realizes that he's not going out there. So John leaves the police station and talks to the dispatcher and tells her, call an ambulance for the sheriff. He has a heart murmur.
Yeah, this is, I think, some of his best acting in the film. There's a lot of this movie where I just feel like I'm watching him act. And in this scene, I did not feel any acting from him. It just felt really real and raw. And listen, that is not the case throughout the entire film. There are definitely some great moments that he has. He's very funny.
This is moment to shine, and he pulled it off very well.
It breathed here a little. Then we had a slow-mo run out of the police station.
Oh, yeah, with shotguns in hand. Yeah, so after that, all the cops are in their cars sort of waiting for something. And John's daughter, Jenna, is texting with her boyfriend. And I got a little confused here. I thought she said, come over. And then they're in a truck together making out. And I assumed that they were making out outside of her house because she said, come over. Maybe that's just me being a little too literal. But they're in this truck making out. And as Drew said earlier, she's already got her pants off, just sitting on top of her boyfriend. And a neighbor...
Hang on. She wasn't just sitting on top. It was like if you went to the strip club, you'd have trouble finding better grinding.
They show a shot in between the pants off and all of that they look inside. There's a neighbor. They chose a poor parking spot. It's clearly right in front of this person's wide open window. Anyway, she's on the phone and she's pointing behind them, which is clear she's trying to warn them something is going on behind them. And she's calling the police at that time.
Was she calling the police?
Yeah, she had a phone in her hand. So
okay.
So I guess that's why John got there so quickly.
Maybe they chose the wrong spot, or maybe that's the boyfriend's kink. It's like, let me drive over to Aunt Elda's and I'm going to park out in front of her house. You take your pants off while I'm doing that as soon as we get there, because she's going to call the cops immediately.
You know how desensitized these kids are today from porn. It's like, look, I can't get off unless there's a neighbor calling the police, watching me at the time.
It's the only way. The only way.
And if there's a werewolf nearby, that would be super, guys.
Yeah, if there's imminent danger.
Oh my God.
I was not scared this entire movie. And I wasn't necessarily scared during this, but I thought this was maybe one of the more successful kind of where is he? You see the werewolf claw on the back of, window of.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
They're in like a Jeep Cherokee or something like that. This was a cool effect, right? The werewolf jumping into the car, pushing the car to the side, his claw on the back. So you kind of never knew where he was, and the kids are inside of the car not knowing what's going on or where he is. That, I think, worked really well. I enjoyed that.
It was the first one of those scenes that actually had suspense,
yeah.
Where he's stalking them around the car. The neighbor calls the cops. John shows up on the scene, gets there immediately, and starts...
Commando style. He's got that shotgun going.
Just going. But my thing is, he missed him that close with 5 shots.
Man, but he fucked some cars up.
He fucked some cars up.
He did.
While he's missing the giant wolf that's standing on top of the car, or the wolf man standing on top of the car, he hears Jenna behind him, and his daughter is there in her underwear, laying on the street. And we quickly find out that he's always been this way as a dad who is self-centered, just like he is with his own father. So her head's bleeding, and he's more concerned about what his ex-wife's going to say and about catching the killer than his fucking teenage daughter who's bleeding from the head.
Right. He's like, do you know how mad your mother's going to be at me for this? He has zero concern for his daughter. I'm not saying that like every dad has to be, or every mother has to be, mother of the year, father of the year, or whatever. But I'm sorry, if something like that happens to your kid, they almost die, and they're bleeding from the head, something tells me you would at least take some sort of care for them.
Even the shittiest dad.
Even the shittiest dad.
I mean, to be fair, how much mouthwash did he had to drink that day?
And his entire time, he is literally gaslighting her and yelling at her the entire time. She's saying like, I went through gymnastics. I have done all of this stuff. Not once did you ever tell me you're proud of me. I am bleeding from the fucking skull. And she's like, take me to the fucking hospital, and gets in the cop car, and he's like still mad at her. I'm like, there is nothing redeeming about this character. That is like, I think the overall issue I sort of have. Like, we have to somewhere inside of us give some sort of shit about you. And there's just nothing redeeming about him.
The 2 townies that used the F word at the beginning of the movie were more relatable and more likable.
I tolerated his behaviors all the way up until this point.
Yeah.
It's like your fucking kid is cracked her head open, bleeding, and he says, I can't take care of you right now. I'm at work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wrote that line to be funny. If he did, it just failed.
That's my point with the whole fucking movie. I don't know if he just has no idea how parents are supposed to interact with children, or alcoholics actually act, or dying fathers actually act. If you're going to do the joke, punch the joke.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate quirky, but if you're not sure if that line is intentional as drama or intentional as quirky, you have failed. Because the audience has to know at one point. And that was one of those lines like, what the fuck? Because it wasn't funny, to your daughter's in this place. Like, who gives a fuck why she's in the street in her underwear at this point? Her head's cracked open. That's all that matters. And so he has this opportunity to be a dad, and why she gets so angry, we realize he's never been there for her.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of people would have put up with his behavior up until now, but I think this is the bridge too far.
Yeah, I think so too. So after that...
They all died in the scene of the movie.
You guys fucking wish.
Sorry. No.
So since the tension's been ramped up because the wolf has been spotted and fired at, now we see all the cops on foot, like searching in people's yards. And immediately they get to this house, and there's a trash can with one of their
cop buddies
folded in half and stuffed into the trash can.
Oh, mustache guy.
Mustache guy. Yeah.
Decapitated.
I don't think he was decapitated. I think they just folded him in half and shoved him into a trash can.
He looked decapitated.
He's got to be cut up, though, because again, it goes back to being tall doesn't doesn't mean your superhuman strength. You know what I mean? Like, he had to cut him.
Yeah, so we got an officer down. Officer Robson takes this one hard. She kind of backs up into the fence and is really, this kind of throws her. Now one of their own has died.
Ricky Lindholm, Detective Julia, this is her moment to shine and show her dramatic chops.
This is the beginning of her arc, I think. I mean, we've seen it a little bit, you know, she put out the crime scene photos, things like that. But this is sort of the beginning of her figuring it out. There's a scene earlier as well where she's looking over the crime scene photos while she's eating ramen at her house, which just kind of shows like she's got the stomach for this. She's built different.
And her talking to the guy hanging the sign up. First she asks nicely, and then she basically acts like a typical small town sheriff. And it's like, hey, I'm blackmailing you into making sure you take this down. And then as she walks up, like, hey, Linda, or whatever, this shows that she's got the chops and the blackmail-y qualities to be a small town sheriff.
But she takes it from the townies at the beginning, right? Like, that guy is like, I'm sorry, are you interrogating me? You're grabbing my phone? Don't swipe through my pictures. Like, unless you have a fucking warrant, you can go fuck off. And she's like, okay, bye. And then as she's walking off, he calls her a bitch, you know, and she just kind of takes it.
Again, small town America. They went to high school together. Like, he knows her. She knows him.
She's clearly distraught here, Detective Robson.
We leave that scene crazy quick, like we do most. And the next scene, we see that Jenna is now sharing a hospital room with her grandfather. They're both in a hospital room together. And really quick, John is in her room as she sleeps, uses her sleeping finger to unlock her phone to get the phone number and address of her boyfriend, and goes to her boyfriend's house and attacks him in his bed.
With what on?
A t-shirt tied around his nose and mouth. It's like, wait, huh? The sheriff? Like, no, it was obviously him as soon as he goes in.
So they go to the floor. The mom maces them both in the face.
Now, I thought that was funny.
Then he pulls the t-shirt down, right? And then the mother realizes it's the sheriff, which, okay, thanks, Scooby-Doo. This whole scene threw me. Like, this took me a second to figure out what in the fuck was going on. I was like, where are we? What is happening? What is he doing? And then I was like, oh, wait, because we only see that guy, her boyfriend, once. And you see him basically in profile in this car. You have to be able to put two and two together if you're paying attention to realize it's the boyfriend. I mean, it's just, there are some weird things in here. And then he pours milk all over his face.
Never seen anyone make it work so quickly, though. As soon as he's like, does it? I think I haven't seen enough Jackass to know that it doesn't make it go away.
It takes a minute. Fun fact, my son hit me in the face with bear mace when he was about 8 years old. And no, it does not go away that quickly.
Is that what you did? You poured milk on your face?
Yeah, well, at first they gave me some water, like a cup of water, and that just spreads it. And so the milk neutralizes it. But I want to give the hospital of Snow Hollow a shout out for their convenient where they put the beds. They knew those people were family. They're like, let's make it easy for the family so they can come to one room, visit all of their family that are incapacitated at this point. It was just a kind move, I felt like.
It was a kind move. I thought the same thing. I was like, well, it wasn't that convenient. They're clearly suffering from different ailments. There's usually different floors on these hospitals for various things that someone would need to be in the hospital for. That was certainly nice.
They do things a little different in Snow Hollow.
I mean, in Snow Hollow, I think we can all agree, empathy is a major shortcoming of like the general town. So maybe this is the hospital's way of trying to treat that. Like, hey, we'll be the empathetic ones and move them all closer together, and that'll just make everyone feel better.
Okay, so he gets maced. The very next scene, he gets back to the hospital. He's in full uniform, but his eyes are very red, and his face is very red, and he sits by his daughter's bed. We find out while he's sitting there apologizing for being late as his daughter wakes up, that his father has passed away. The dialogue in this was stupid. She says, Dad. And he goes, I know, honey, I'm sorry. And she goes, no.
Dad. Yeah.
He looks down. They pan over to the empty bed. He never looks at the empty bed. And then they kind of pan back over to him.
So his father's died. Back at home, John continues to spiral, cracking up, more drinking. Back at his house, Jenna finds him drunk on the floor. And just like he had done previously in a scene where he walks her up the stairs, she walks him up the stairs to his room, finds out he's wrecked his police cruiser and he's an emotional wreck. We're over an hour into the film right now and he still hasn't hit rock bottom. Over an hour into a film that's 90 minutes.
83 minutes.
83 minutes. So she puts him in bed and you realize that he is basically an adult baby. He says, I don't need a parent. Which is such a stupid thing to say to your kid when a kid is just trying to help. That's it's like, can you be any more on the nose with what we're going for in this scene than saying, I don't need a parent?
You guys are drunk. And I'm
Now we are now,
right?
I'm wasted right now.
You guys are parents. Like, have you ever been a little tipsy in front of your kid?
Oh, Jesus.
Before my kids got over 18, if I was tipsy in front of them, it was like they were cops. And I'm like, yes, everything is good. And this guy's like, fuck you. I miss my dad. Like he's going through full emotional turmoil with this poor kid. I know now why she was willing to do whatever with that guy. She's just looking for a daddy, like someone to take care of her.
Yeah, so he's a wreck. He's a total wreck. And immediately after this, there's a couple of times in the movie where we kept cutting to this trailer and this guy shooting dope.
I cannot fucking wait to talk about this. Go, Bart, Shannon, go.
So we're in the trailer and this guy's shooting heroin and he overdoses and falls out of the trailer. And so pretty quickly, they're bringing the body in and the case is solved. And why is the case solved? Well, because this guy had wolf tattoos. He had a knife collection.
No, they said they found a body.
There was a body buried in his backyard, yes. But that was enough for them. Case closed. Wolves, dead people, that's our guy. We're done. Oh, they said he was 6'5". As a person who is 6'5", that guy in that trailer was 5'9".
Max.
At his tallest.
With heels on.
In that tiny little trailer. Yes.
This is now the third time we've seen this random guy in this trailer. The first time we saw him, he was smoking crack. And I was like, who is this guy? I have no clue who this guy is. Why are we randomly cutting to a guy that lives in a trailer that's smoking crack? But okay.
Hilarious. Comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, for our junkie listeners, he wasn't smoking crack. He was smoking heroin.
Was he? Okay, I'm sorry.
Our junkie listeners are going to go, lady, that's not crack. That's heroin.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just an alcoholic. I don't know. But and then all of a sudden we cut back to this man in the trailer. He's standing outside. We see him with a wolf tattoo, which, by the way, I could not make out. We know we have discussed in the past, I have bad vision. And the way my living room is, the TV is way across, and I realized I probably need a bigger TV for my living room. But I was like, I don't know what that tattoo is, and it wasn't on the second viewing that I was in my kitchen and the TV is like right up to my face. And I was like, oh, that is a wolf. And they show him and then they go just past frame and he has a bonfire in his yard with a woman's body in it. Now, here's the deal. You as an audience member, you know that this is not the guy.
How do you know that?
Because he has the bodies with him, right? The MO of our killer is chopping up bodies.
Just taking their vaginas.
And chopping up their vaginas. It just doesn't fit the MO of our killer. It just doesn't. So I think as an audience member, you know it's not him. I knew it wasn't him.
What bothered me about the scene was they're wheeling it in. And the forensics guy that's part of the police force is like, hey, fellow police officer, I'm going to tell the press that we got him and you can't take that from me. Or what? Like, it's one of those like, wait, what? Like how fucking disorganized is this motley crew? There's so much infighting and so much jockeying for you're a fucking dickhead and all that, like just arguing amongst themselves. That really threw me off that the guy was like, I'm going to tell everyone that you didn't get this guy and I did or whatever. It's one of those like, are you for fucking real? Like, this is terrible writing.
Well, this is why the whole guy ODing in the trailer bugged me so much, because I didn't realize that they thought, the filmmakers thought this was a whodunit until that point. And I was like, oh, you thought we were like trying to figure out who the person was. You're not giving us enough misdirects and enough clues. There's no lead to follow for us.
The only thing that made me think, this is interesting, is that Jim Cummings has really large, pointy incisors.
At this point, I'm still thinking it's, like the first time I saw it, I'm still thinking it's possibly a werewolf.
Yeah, me too.
And not a person. I'm not on thinking like, this is obviously a guy. So yeah, up until the first time, I guess when he fired at the werewolf, the first time I saw it was like, oh, it's not Jim Cummings. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I thought maybe it was Jim Cummings. He was going to be the werewolf.
Or that it was something far more human.
Far more human than a werewolf. Like a guy.
Like anything.
Like
Anything.
A living human.
Like a human.
So Jim Cummings' character takes this one to heart because he had really built up the pressure on himself to solve this case. And so he was disappointed when they bring the body in because he's not going to solve it.
And he fires the ME.
Well, to be fair, for good cause. Like, that dude was insubordinate as shit.
Yeah,
Get him out of there.
He is.
Oh, yeah, that was something we didn't talk about.
Yeah, him throwing the bottle at the car.
That was the only jump scare in the whole movie. And I actually jumped when that happened. And I had to watch it a second time to see just like what the progression of shots was to make it jarring.
It just happened way earlier in the film. And so this bottle is thrown at the car when Robson and Marshall are in the cop car. And you're right. It's like, what the fuck? And we all jump. And then we later find out it's the ME. And I'm like, why is he so mad?
Yeah, Bart, was there any clues?
Drew, do this. I'm going to be the corner and I just want to play a game and see if this works.
Okay.
So ask me, did you throw the beer bottle?
Did you throw the beer bottle?
No, I didn't. That's all the guy had to say. No, I didn't.
That was it.
That's right.
Why throw the beer bottle? And let's be honest, the guy's not in the best of shape. He's not hiking out to the middle of the woods to like lie in wait with a beer bottle. One beer bottle?
They get out of the car and there's nobody there.
Yep.
I mean, he's not the most stealthy looking dude and it's in the middle of nowhere. I thought it was the werewolf, whoever they're chasing, right?
Everybody in town is angry at him. So it was strange for him to say, you threw that beer bottle. It's like, it's established. Everybody fucking hates you. Why assume this one guy threw the beer bottle?
Could have been his daughter. Like, I mean, let's be honest. You're trying to get dad's attention. You might throw a beer bottle.
I'll be honest. If my daughter talked to me the way he talked to his father, I mean, I could see his father being the one that throws the fucking beer bottle. Like, piece of shit, kid.
I'll teach him a lesson. I'll go out to the middle of the woods and wait for him to drive by. And I'll throw a beer bottle. It makes no sense. And plus, like, that's one of the major mysteries that got solved. Not why this guy was into being a werewolf. Like, what was his motive behind it? It's just, who threw the beer bottle? That was the biggest whodunit in the movie.
The beer bottle of Snow Hollow.
Finally, John is hitting rock bottom. So he goes to AA. The next scene, he's on return duty, returning all of the confiscated belongings that the townspeople had taken during the investigation. He's returning all this stuff, and now it's nighttime. Julia gets a call from the fiance of the first victim, and he wants to know where he should send that stitching tool back to them.
Yeah, it was a seam ripper.
She knows immediately who the killer is.
Did someone say the F word? You know, that riles me up.
Yeah, because she's going through the box of evidence before and she sees a spool of thread, which where did that come from and why was that collected as evidence? I'm assuming maybe it was with a victim's body is the only way they got it.
Which that's poor planning when it comes to the taxidermy.
There's no way this evidence would have held up in court because there was so much cross-contamination. So you're telling me some weird seam ripper ended up in the boyfriend's pile from where?
He brought the seam ripper, a spool of thread, like all this shit in his wolf suit to go kill these people and left it on the scene. Like, is that just in case he needed to cut himself out of the deal or re-sew like an arm back on? I mean, it made no sense that was, oh, this is just evidence that this is here.
And by the way, wearing a wolf suit totally protects you from leaving DNA behind. They said there was never any DNA.
Just wolf hair.
But if you notice earlier, they say he held the victim down by the neck with his mouth. So they could tell that, but there was no saliva.
There's another scene connected where they say the bites are consistent with a wolf. So how is he putting wolf bite marks on people's neck?
He's also a puppeteer, guys.
Well, so he's going into the woods and he's clearly killing wolves, right? And he's clearly using their head, their actual heads, their actual teeth.
Did we ever see one?
We never saw a real wolf.
We're just now getting to that. So let's get to that scene and then we can talk about him more. So John delivers the belongings to a taxidermist shop. We see right away if there's a sign outside. This guy answers the door, Paul, and the setup is creepy. The dialogue is creepy. How he's hunched over is creepy. So he says, hey, I'm just returning these belongings. I need you to sign for it. You hear the kettle in the background. He goes, would you like some coffee? And he's like, no, I'm good. So he goes back to turn off the kettle, and John pushes the door open a little bit and steps inside and comes into the kitchen. And
right then and there, I'm like, I don't even know how this scene necessarily happened, right? All he had to do was say, hey, thanks, I appreciate it. Here it is. Sign away. My kettle's going off. I got to run. Good to see you, man.
I guess since the guy is always crouched and hiding his height, I guess he thought, well, I'm just going to go to the kitchen, sit down, and just wait for him to come to me, which he did. So he finally comes in and walks into the kitchen, and he says, would like a cup of coffee, and he sits down with them. Again, a 7-footer in a town this small. Everyone knows how tall you are. You're not going to be able to hide it.
The dialogue in this scene is so fucking ridiculous that it's like, hey, come in, have a cup of coffee. You want a little something extra in your cup? Absolutely. Takes a little extra. Well, I'll be leaving now.
Well, hang on. Yes, there is some dumb stuff in this, but there's a reason it gets to that point. So what's the phrase he uses? I've never heard this phrase, but it's something like, you want me to drop a little something in that cup?
Yeah.
And he's like, that'd be great. And so again, we just saw Jim Cummings 4 minutes ago in his AA meeting where he's apologizing to everyone about the asshole he's been and for falling off the wagon. So now the first thing he says, would you like something to drink? He says yes. And then he leans behind him. You see there's a whole counter full of liquor bottles. Jim Cummings says, oh, your wife's out of town. And he goes, no, I don't have a wife. And he goes, oh, I was just joking because of all the... And then he says, well, I used to have a wife. I'm not opposed to the idea. Which, what the fuck?
You couldn't hack it.
She couldn't hack it.
I mentioned this to Drew, and he did not remember this. This is not the first time we've seen this guy.
Is he the guy
He's the Airbnb owner.
That makes no sense. I thought it was him too. So he's at the very beginning, and he's in one of the interrogated scenes.
He's at the very beginning.
He mentions his wife in all 3 scenes.
All 3 scenes. He shows at the beginning and he says, my wife is going to kill me. There's been a murder. They're going to say this Airbnb is haunted. I'm never going to be able to rent it out again. And then they interrogate him. That's the thing. There is no way he's walking to and from that interrogation room.
A 7-foot tall guy going to an interrogation room where they're looking for a tall guy.
Right.
The tallest human being in that town, and they let him go home. And he's a taxidermist.
He goes to Kroger every weekend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's around. Like, say, there's 2 places to eat in town. He's there. Makes no sense.
I thought that was him, but he didn't look as creepy. I thought, well, there's no way they would have stuck him in there.
And of course, he's in his car.
And he's crouched over in his car.
That
opens up so many more problems by putting him in those scenes. So back to the scene with the coffee. So they're talking, and I think it's kind of obvious at this point what's going on because he's so over the top and creepy. And he says, how's your daughter? Is she okay?
Right.
And that's when John goes, yeah, she's going to college, and everything stops.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go.
So that's when he's like, something's not right. How did he know my daughter was in the hospital? So he goes back outside. He's standing outside the taxidermy shop. His wheels are turning, and he turns around and goes back to the door and knocks on the door. And he tells him, hey, something you said in there kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Can you stand up? I need to see all your full height. So then the guy stands up, and his eyes are over the door, which door frame is 6'9". So he's over 7 feet tall. He's probably 7'3", 7'4". So he realizes immediately, this is my guy. Paul, the taxidermist, slams the door on him and runs back into the house. Jim Cummings tries to call for backup. Then John jumps through the window to go in the house and pulls his gun and is immediately stabbed in the stomach by Paul.
Which was terrifying, and all the blood coming out of his fucking mouth on the floor.
Hey, as we've all learned from Reservoir Dogs, being stabbed in the stomach or shot in the stomach is the most painful place next to the kneecap.
That makes me hurt.
So he stabs him, leaves him on the floor. Police sirens outside. So he bails out the back door just in time for John to have a shot of him in his full wolf costume sans head to give one big howl before he runs off into the woods.
So John crawls forward to grab his gun.
Follows him into the woods, bleeding from a very huge knife wound in the gut.
Like, he has to crawl across to just get his gun. It's barely able to get it. But then, hey, I'm going to go for a jog. It's going to be great.
And the amount of blood that he spits out before this is very significant.
Oh, yeah. The headstock of the knife is huge. So it's a gigantic knife.
It's like a Bowie knife.
Yeah, even bigger, I think. It's hefty. So he's bleeding a lot. So he follows him into the woods. And again, he just can't really do this police work well. He gets to him, but Paul overtakes him again and starts beating him while he's on the ground. And just as he's about to kill him, fireworks go off overhead because it is New Year's Eve, because we're hearing Auld Lang Syne. And as he looks up at the fireworks, Julia shows up and shoots him. He falls on the ground. Immediately, John gets his gun, stands up, puts 5 rounds into his face.
I guess all acquaintance was forgot.
And then Julia's saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" But mouthing it because he's so disoriented, he doesn't know what's going on, and he falls out. So then she runs towards him.
At his AA meeting, he had said, "I appreciate all of those people that say, 'Are you okay?' Even when we just say, 'Yeah.'" So she says, "Are you okay?" And he says, "No."
Nice callback. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good callback. Although I didn't realize that until you just now said it.
Yeah, same.
So John bleeds out in the woods and dies, and that's it. That's our movie, guys. That is it.
That's not it.
No, it's not it.
I was like, wait, I saw more than that. Did I watch a different version?
John Marshall dies, and that's it.
This was my Tubi version. You never know what you're going to get. So the very next scene is Jenna's first day moving in at college. Julia is there to help her move in. So obviously her father has passed away. That's what they want us to believe, because why else would Julia be there to help her on this day when her mother isn't? And we find out right away as she puts on her sheriff's hat that she is now the new sheriff of the town.
Let's be honest, kind of shitty of the mom the mom has given up. As soon as she passes that kid off to John, she's like, fuck it. I don't want anything to do with this kid.
Yeah, she's so mad about having to do it, yet we never see her in her life again.
Yep.
That's one of those two-dimensional ex-wife characters where we need the audience to see what a bitch she is and how unreasonable she is and why she won't let me live my dream life. And then we don't have to see her anymore.
Yep.
Right.
Established.
Right.
There's definitely some misogyny going on in some of Jim Cummings' writing.
No.
What? My characters.
What? Why is it always women? He even has that line in the movie. Why is it always women? Oh, it seems like it's women.
Y'all, I feel like he's trying to make the opposite point, and I feel like he's just failing miserably.
I know. It's a tough one. So Julia leaves. Then we see that John is alive and he's okay. And he comes in the door and he's, I guess, wrapping up, helping moving her stuff. And he tells her that he's left something in her top drawer for protection. And she says, "Ooh, gross. No." And then he leaves.
First of all, their conversation while they're in the dorm room couldn't be more contentious. She hates him. She's like, "Just leave. I don't need you." They never touch. They never hug.
He probably spent from New Year's Eve till a week before she moved in the hospital.
Right.
Because of that massive stomach wound. And she still hates him.
Yeah. Dad, just go away.
And this is August. Because kids don't move into the dorm in January.
That's right.
No, they make mention of that. I think the point is that she's graduating early.
Oh, okay.
Because she's got this scholarship for gymnastics.
Whoa, she's got a scholarship for gymnastics? That's a huge deal.
You saw how flexible she was in that car.
She twerked it.
So hang on a second. He had a gigantic knife shoved into his belly, and then just a couple of weeks later, he's helping her move.
Checked her into the dorm. The whole movie, they're talking about how she is starting college early in January.
I don't know, man.
Less than 2 weeks since almost being stabbed to death, he's helping his daughter move.
Hang on. Is John tall? Because apparently, the movie's already established.
Nope, they don't say he's tall.
No, he's not? Oh, damn. All right. I thought I figured it out.
So she's like, "Gross, Dad, get out of my dorm." He leaves. She opens the drawer.
Did you see the excitement on her face, though, about getting condoms?
She opens the drawer. She looks down. She lifts the condoms out. And so we see a shot of her looking at the condoms. And then she looks down in the drawer again, surprised.
And horrified.
And shoots over to where her dad left.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was in the drawer?
The condoms, it was like, oh boy, Dad, haha. And then she looks back in the drawer. What was it?
It was the first victim's vagina.
Right.
You didn't get that point?
He made a fleshlight for her.
I thought that was so clear.
Now I'm really debating. Like, I have no idea.
She looks in the drawer shocked, cuts her eyes over to where her dad just left. Then they show a shot of him walking down the stairs, redoing his belt buckle.
Yeah.
What is happening?
What's your guess?
That it was her grandfather's gun.
Yeah, off his hip. So that's why he was putting his belt back. Yeah, that's what I took.
But guess what? You did a shitty job of showing it. I rewound it and still didn't get it. I was like, what was in the drawer? I don't know. It wasn't until the second time when I went back and watched it and I was like, I don't know what to say. Was it maybe his gun? That's the only thing that makes sense.
She moved into a goddamn dorm and he gave her a gun?
Check this out. We know of 3 gifts that he's given his daughter in this movie. Mace, condoms, and a firearm.
Father of the year.
He also gave her a lot of daddy issues.
And the trauma of dying beside her grandfather. Here's the deal. All you need is for her to then pick up the gun and look at it. You don't need a weird shot of him redoing his belt.
Why would he give her a gun in the first place?
Giving her a gun was weird. Walking by the guys that are like, I can't wait to get that fresh meat. Like, as he's leaving. And him being like, oh, wait, I gave her a gun. It's like, no, I'm good.
Here's what's really weird about this. This is supposed to be our one shot, guys. This is our one chance to see redemption in John Marshall. This is supposed to show us that even though these kids are walking around saying, ooh, the freshman dorm room, heck yeah, I can't wait for some fresh meat, stops him in his tracks and he doesn't move, right? As an audience member, what we are supposed to realize is every other time in this movie, he would have absolutely turned around and punched them right in their face. But he's grown.
He has grown. See, I took it more as that he just didn't consider himself a cop anymore. And he's like, I don't have to worry about rapes. Like, that's not my issue.
The purpose of them writing that scene is so that we will see that he is a changed man.
Well, I didn't see that.
That's the part that I wasn't pissed off at. I was pissed off at the condoms, to the weird shot, to him redoing his belt buckle.
Do you think he just jacked off in the quad?
There's no telling. You know what I mean?
Here's some condoms and here's a load. It's a twofer. You get them both. I'll leave the condoms in the package because I never wear a condom. Here's proof.
Let's all just assume it's a gun, I guess, that he gifted his daughter on her first week in school.
Did you catch that, Drew?
I didn't catch that it was a gun until y'all started saying that. And then I put into AI search what was in the drawer at the end of Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
And it says, at the end of the Wolf of Snow Hollow, Officer John Marshall left a gun and a box of condoms in his daughter's dorm room drawer to protect her from the violence of men, reflecting his own ongoing struggle with rage and masculinity. It's subtle. You got to really pay attention. But yeah, there was a load in there too.
Look, again, I'm going to be the person that says this before I say the next line. I'm a fan of Jim Cummings. I like him as an actor. I like the worlds he creates. Now, they're very limited worlds, and if the very next one is the same character, you realize, okay, it's time for you to stop writing films. It's like you're just keeping them in the same place. So I'm a fan of Jim Cummings.
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie way more than you two did. Mm-hmm. But I don't even remember where I was going. I'm just trying to defend. Oh, the masculine.
Well, I will say
the toxic masculinity. I saw a blurb before we got on this morning too about a comment on toxic masculinity. No, it's not. It's just a fucking whodunit thriller. Call it a horror, quirky comedy. That's it. That's all it is. It doesn't have to have a message.
I think a lot of the issues with the film have to do with the editing of the film. The pacing is super weird. They're trying to do that flashback thing that they couldn't really pull off. Bart, you said it earlier. He was coming off of winning Sundance with his first film. And he's adorbs. And he was the auteur. And no one could tell him any different about like his vision or that, hey, this isn't going to work. You need to be more relatable, blah, 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 blah. Having a critical voice in your creative process is so necessary. And that's why I've been asking Lindsey to read a script of mine for like years.
I'm sorry.
And she still hasn't. I guess it's perfect the way it is.
It is
just perfect.
I'll read it.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes. No
None
notes.
from Lindsey.
What was that guy's name in the late 90s? Edward Burns. Do you remember that guy? He did indie films. He wrote them, directed them, and played the lead on all of them. And they all had the same story, the same tone. I think he did 3 or 4, and then he just became an actor. Because I think everyone kind of got just sick of his limited stories. Yeah, this will be an interesting time. Does Jim Cummings correct some of those problems, or does he start directing or just writing? And then I definitely see him being in someone else's vehicle where he's just an actor. But yeah, we'll see where he goes from here.
Drew, we always ask, on a scale from horror to comedy, where did this movie land for you? If there was a meter and comedy is on one side and horror is on the other, what would you say? Are we 80 one way, 20 the other, 50-50? So where does this movie land for you on the comedy horror meter?
With comedy, I'd say probably 30% comedy, 70%. No offense, but I watched Weapons the night before. And so it's like, I can tell you I laughed more in Weapons and was scared more in Weapons than I did in this movie. So, I'd say 30-70. Is it a rank of like 1 to 5 stars in both of those categories?
No ranking. Just where does it fall on a meter?
I'd say 30% comedy, 70% horror.
What do you think, Bart?
I'd go with 70-30 as well. I was going to try to come up with a different number, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, I was going between 80-20 and 70-30.
I did laugh several times out loud, was never scared. But like I said, I think there was intention in that all of the horror scenes to intercut that with like the following day. That way it was like, this is not a horror film. We're not trying to scare you. So they separated themselves from like spooky scenes. And like I said, there are descriptions online where it's not even called a horror, but that's not what this podcast is about. And I think it's enough in a horror vein to call it a horror comedy. So yeah, 70-30. You said 80-20. So Drew says 70-30. I say 70-30. You say 80-20. I don't know if you were planning to ask this question, but I'm just going to love having the answers. Would you recommend this film? Drew, you first.
Absolutely not. Jim's not there yet. I might go back and watch the other film that he won Sundance with just to get some kind of like basis for him and get this out of my head for what kind of actor he is. But no, there's so many more better films out there. Why waste the time? The fact that both of you have watched it multiple times, I'm like, oh my God, you poor human beings.
Would you recommend it?
Would I recommend it? No.
You wouldn't?
I feel so bad, but I just can't. I can't. If you're the biggest Robert Forster fan on the planet, you've probably already seen it. But if you are and you haven't seen it and you want to see his last film, I would say...
Don't watch Jackie Brown again.
Please watch Jackie Brown again. You got to be a pretty diehard Robert Forster fan for that. But yeah, I just don't think I can recommend it. Would you recommend it, Bart?
To a specific group of people.
Okay.
I would recommend it.
Who are those specific people? Name them so that I can defriend them. No, just kidding.
Avoid. Yeah.
Trevin. Do you guys know Trevin? I'd recommend it to Trevin.
I don't know Trevin, but...
And the other person's my mom, and she's deceased. So Trevin's the audience.
Well, I definitely don't want to watch a movie with your mom, because that sounds like a bummer.
As I've said, I'm a Jim Cummings fan. I find him funny. I just like watching Jim Carrey in a movie. It's like, you're acting. Everybody knows you're acting, but it's fun to watch. Your facial expressions, how you deliver these lines. I like watching him deliver lines. There was a lot of poorly written stuff in this, but overall, I like watching his performance, even knowing he's acting. Like he even says about his own acting. He's like, I'm just out there playing pretend. I have no background in acting. I'm just going out there and playing pretend. At this point, it's his second film. I think there's a huge future ahead, but I would recommend it to people that still love indie films.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we always ask a question about elevator pitch. So what would your elevator pitch for this film be if you were either trying to get the film made or you were just trying to talk a friend into watching it with you?
And here's the scenario, Drew. You're in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. There's a DVD player and there's only one DVD. This is it. You guys are going to die there. You're going to have to eat each other at some point. But there's one movie to watch. So you got to tell your friend, whoever this person that's going to eat you, why you need to watch this movie.
I'm just trying to think about, is there no way to ski or Like, just slide down the
No,
mountain.
not just... Bart, what would your elevator pitch be?
A quirky horror comedy about werewolves that has a lot of determination but falls flat in the end.
My elevator pitch for this film would be when full moons bring brutal murders to a snowy Utah town, one unstable cop spirals into a hunt that blurs man and monster.
Whoa. I'm in. Like that was good.
Damn. That was this movie?
That was this movie.
All right. Can I try?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go.
You ever seen Silver Bullet? Let's watch it instead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry.
But that's it. That's Wolf of Snow Hollow. I'm glad, Drew, that I got to share something impactful in your life that you will take with you forever and ever.
It really made me feel like I didn't give my daughter enough condoms and guns.
If I learned
There's
anything.
always time. There's always tomorrow.
I think she's figured it out at this point, but who knows?
All right, Drew, man, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm sorry that it was so disjointed. Like I said before, really looking forward to Stranger Things. So just want to plug that before I leave.
If you have a neighborhood viewing, let me know. I'll come over. I'll bring some cheese dip.
Anytime you would love to have me back for a better movie, I'm in.
I will pick 3 movies that I know are good. That way, in case you don't accidentally pick one that you won't like.
I love it.
Or how about watch the trailer first, Drew? Huh?
I was just told 3 movies and I knew which one I didn't want. I didn't want to be like demanding and say, oh, all these are shit.
All right, Drew.
Thank you, Drew. That was amazing.
Thanks,
Thank you,
y'all.
sir.
Hopefully I gave y'all good stuff to use and have fun with.
You did. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. I'll see you walking around the neighborhood soon.
Stop by my house. I'll give you a condom and a gun. It'll be great. All right. Bye, guys.
Sorry, brother.
Bye, Drew.
Have a good day.
Oh, my God.
Always good talking to Drew.
I love him so much. We have a long standing friendship. He always makes me laugh. He's a great guy. So I'm really glad that he was able to do it. And I'm glad that we watched this movie with him.
I am too. Like I said earlier, we could easily pick the 30 or 40 horror comedies that everybody loves and just do them because we know they're good and everyone's going to love them. But where's the fun in that? And those are the same 30 that everyone's talked about.
And listen, who gives a crap what we think about it? We don't matter. Exactly. And it's like Madonna says, bad press is press.
Bela Lugosi said the same thing when he was having photos taken of him in rehab for his morphine addiction. So sometimes they're wrong.
Sometimes they're wrong.
I feel like I have to end this a little bit with one last defense of Jim Cummings.
I love it. Let's go.
So if anyone is listening to this and says, well, I'm not watching that movie because 2 of the 3 hated it, I would say at the very least, watch Thunder Road.
Mm-hmm.
It shows a lot of promise and it's more vehicle for him to just act silly.
And listen, it's like I said, I don't think this film showed a lack of promise. I don't. I think that there are some great nuggets in there, but I just feel like he was putting too much on himself in this one. If he called me now and said, hey, would love to work with you on this script, absolutely I would.
He's not going to work with you now. You've shit-talked him for 2 hours.
No, he's not. I should talk to him for 2 hours. He's not. But, I mean, I do think he has a lot of promise.
Yeah, I do too. All right.
There we go. There you have it.
Got another one down. How about that?
In the can. Done. Should we do it again?
I think we should do it again. We got another guest and we got another exciting movie to watch and a lot of hot air coming from all of us.
I love it. Let's keep this train rolling.
Let's do it. Thanks, Lindsey.
Thank you, Bart. Good to see you, honey.
All music for this podcast is provided by MKE. To hear more of his music, visit his band's website at detectivemusic.com and Detective on Spotify.